Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Gold Pride Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for Post Legacy of Destruction. We got some new Gold Pride cards in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set. It's been a while since I've updated the deck, and I wanted to do a pure version of the Gold Prides, which focus more on the actual playstyle of the monsters, and not really leaning into needing the Punk engine to help with its plays. We got the new Synchro Gold Pride Eradicator, along with one new main deck monster to utilize along with all the other cards, and I believe I even missed a set or two with some of the newer support for the deck since the last update. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Gold Pride monsters, we're running 3 copies of Gold Pride Leon. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's normal or special summon, you can target one non-warrior Gold Pride monster from your graveyard and special summon it in defense. Also, you cannot special summon from the extract for the rest of his turn, except for Gold Pride monsters. And during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves. Synchro summon one Synchro monster using only Gold Pride monsters you control. You can only use each effect of Leon once per turn. But we do have a new Gold Pride monster in the form of Gold Pride Eradicator. So one of the new synchro options to be able to go into, while still having our old Gold Pride Star Leon to also be able to summon out onto the field as well using these monsters. So it's a great setup just to be able to grab us that monster with one of the other monsters we run in the deck for the Gold Pride monsters being Gold Pride Captain Carry. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Gold Pride Trap from your deck to your hand. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one Gold Pride monster you control that was special summoned from the extract, banish up to 3 Gold Pride cards from your graveyard to then have that monster gain 500 attack for each card banished. So more of an attack boost for that card after using Captain Carry as a resource. She's also a Fiend monster, which helps for some of the other targets that we run for some of the other monsters in the deck also. With the last of the 3 ofs for our Gold Pride monsters being the 3 copies of Gold Pride Rollerballer. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand. During the main phase quick effect, you can fusion summon one Gold Pride fusion monster from your extract using monsters from your hand or field as material. So you use your Rollerballer to then go into cards like Pinballer, which is all of the Gold Pride vehicles, I'm guessing, gathered up in a giant ball that Rollerballer collected. But still, it's your fusion option as well. Each one has a specific card that's meant to utilize more, with Leon being Synchro, Rollerballer being Fusion, and Captain Carry being Xyz. We also have our new Gold Pride card, which is the Gold Pride Eliminator. We are running 2 copies of this card. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can banish one other Gold Pride monster from your hand, face up, field, or graveyard to special summon one Gold Pride token onto the field at the same level as that banished monster. And it can also not be used for a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz except for a Gold Pride monster. But the point of Eliminator is to banish a level 3 monster to then summon out that token onto the field to use, since Eliminator is a level 5 tuner, to summon out the Gold Pride Eradicator onto the field using the token and your Eliminator. With the last of our Gold Pride monsters being one Nitro Head, having the same special summon option and being able to special summon a Nitro token to your opponent's field, but it cannot be used as synchro material for the option for during your opponent's main phase. And then also during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target one Nitro token on the field, destroy that token, and also destroy all cards in the adjacent monster zones and spell traps. So depending on where you set up that token, you can use Nitro Head for some pretty good disruption plays during your opponent's turn. For some of the other monsters we use for the lower life point setup, I run 2 copies of Dr. Frankenderp. If this card is normal or special summon, you can pay 500 life points, look at the top card of your deck, place it on the bottom of the deck, or reveal it and add it to your hand, but skip your next draw phase. If added to the hand, you can only use this effect of Frankenderp once per turn. Being able to add a card, it just takes away from your draw phase next turn, but consider that you're just adding that additional card to your hand. Definitely helps for just lowering your life points as well, and if it's a potential Gold Pride card for you then to be able to summon out onto the field, it could be used as an Xyz play or as an added option for just being able to open up all the more special summons for your Gold Pride cards. With the last of our monster engine being 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. With this card, it restricts you from synchro summoning, but we can use it to grab Captain Carry and then have an overlay into an Xyz play, since our Gold Pride Xyz monster, Chariot Carry, just needs 2 level 3 monsters, and then we can have the Carry in the graveyard to then use with our Leon monster also. And then the last of the main deck monsters, just 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, hand trap of choice to use with our Infinite Impermanence in the lineup for the traps also. That's it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells, running 2 copies of Gold Pride, The Crowd Goes Wild. Reveal 1 Gold Pride monster in your hand, add 1 Gold Pride monster with a different name for your deck, then apply one of the following effects. Special summon the Gold Pride monster from your hand, but lose life points equal to its original attack. So having that special summon option definitely does help, but then you also have the options to summon out other ones from your hand, since your life points will hopefully be lower than your opponent's. Also 2 copies of Gold Pride, Better Luck Next Time. When this card's activated, you can add 1 Gold Pride monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, lose life points equal to its attack. If a face-up Gold Pride monster you control that was special summoned from the X deck returns to the X deck except during the damage step, draw 1 card. You can use this effect of Better Luck Next Time once per turn, so more return power as a continuous spell as well, where The Crowd Goes Wild was just a one-time search. You have more options for the shuffle back power to then be able to have a draw off of this card also, which can also make up for some of the other cards in the deck that may even restrict our draws also. And also 2 copies of Gold Pride that came out of nowhere. You could potentially run 1 of this card if you want to, and then bump up the copies of The Crowd Goes Wild to 3. Special summon 1 Gold Pride monster from your hand or graveyard, then your opponent can special summon 1 monster from their hand or graveyard to their field, but negates effects. So this also builds up a monster for you to summon with the adjacent power of Nitro Head to then destroy later on. With the last of our Gold Pride spells being 2 copies of Pedal to the Metal. Target a Gold Pride monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it gains 500 attack, but it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect, and cannot activate its effects. And during the end phase, if a face-up Gold Pride monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can set this card on the field, resetting up more of your power boost to then be able to use again. And then for the spells, I run 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. We run a good variety of different Gold Pride cards in the extract, so if we have to banish a couple to get a specific search, this card comes in handy for that. With our spells being 1 copy of Call by the Grave, 1 Reinforcements of the Army to search out Leon, 1 Emergency Teleport. This card can search out Frankenderp, so just another good way to grab that monster to then use its life point burn, and 1 Monster Reborn. For our traps, running 2 copies of Gold Pride, Start Your Engine. If your opponent normal or special summons a monster, target one of those monsters, reveal 3 Gold Pride monsters from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks 1 for you to special summon and shuffle the rest into the deck. So just giving you more monster resources in the form of a trap that can also be searched off of Captain Carry. And also the 1 copy of Gold Pride, It's Neck and Neck, targeting a Gold Pride monster you control, or 1 card in your graveyard that's Gold Pride, and except for Gold Pride, It's Neck and Neck, return it to the hand. If your opponent controls a monster with higher attack than your life points, you can banish this card and 1 Gold Pride monster from your graveyard to special summon 1 other Gold Pride monster from your extra deck that mentions the banished monster's name, having more of a graveyard extra deck special summon off of this card also, with the last of the traps being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just along with the Ash Blossom, the hand trap of choice to run with the more pure build of the Gold Pride cards. And that is it for the main deck. When I move on to the extra deck, I run 2 copies of Gold Pride Eradicator. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target 1 Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster from the field. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can target 2, destroy them. You can only use this effect of Eradicator once per turn. Once per turn during the end phase, if the previously effect was activated this turn, return this card to the extra deck. And if you do, special summon 1 Gold Pride Eliminator from your deck or graveyard. So it basically, this card shows up and then summons back your resource as the other Gold Pride cards do with their vehicles as well, summoning back the monster resource onto the field for you then to use again. But Eradicator, as the name suggests, just destroys cards quite easily. Also 2 copies of Star Leon, running 2 ofs for the good majority of the extra deck cards, just so we have the available ones to banish if need be off of Prosperity. The same with Gold Pride Pinballer, needing the fusion play with Roller Baller, needed also to summon out this card, and then being able to equip face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of fusion materials used. So the more cards you use for it, the more you can take from your opponent. And also 2 copies of Gold Pride Nitro Blaster, with needing 2 Gold Pride monsters with different levels, being able to target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can destroy all cards in the adjacent monster zones of that card as well. So monster setup, when you give your opponent back their monsters with your traps, definitely does matter, thanks to this card also. And then also 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 Unicorn, and the 1 Bow of the Goddess for the rest of the generic links when we can go into them. With our Xyz monsters being 2 copies of Chariot Carry. Once again, pretty generic, but once we can make use of Captain Carry, returning this card to the extra deck, it makes it a viable target to grab off of Tour Guide, so then we at least have that monster to be able to summon again back onto the field after we use the Xyz monster, with the rest of the Xyz monsters being 1 Typhoon and the 1 Zeus to use if need be, instead of losing our Xyz summon overlaying on top of it with these cards. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said, life point lowering with Frankenderp can help with the summon or setup, or if we have our Gold Pride spell, just being able to have that difference in life can help to then summon out the level monster. Revealing a Gold Pride monster in your hand, add one with a different name from your deck. Then you have the special summon of that monster, but losing life points equal to its original attack can lower your life points pretty hefty depending on the monster you summon. But you can use the Crowd Goes Wild, revealing the Gold Pride monster to use as the play, and then adding cards like Eliminator to summon out onto the field, and then being able to lose the life point gain as well. But then you can use Eliminator, banishing that other monster to summon the token onto the field, and then give you the level 5 and level 3 summon to have a pretty strong destruction monster to go up against your opponents, which will then be returned, but summoning back the Eliminator again onto the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, I wanted to stick to more of a pure build since most of what I've been seeing were the punk lineups that go with the Gold Pride cards. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.